year globally. And my CEO at the time said, you know what? That's not a lot of money, Rasan. And like, well, someone say, like, how would I say $400 million is not a lot of money? But you think about the amount of money that's moving in markets, the amount of money that's moved through government, it's so much more. It's so much bigger. So the thing is, what we want to do is when we come together, this power of civic participation and voting, being part of the policy creation process and like creating culture, that changes, like moves markets and moves the way government works for us too. So I think about the business of connecting to one another is so important. So I think I am going to officially start in a moment. Dee, could you make sure that we are recording? I'm going to look for you to do the thumbs up reaction to make sure that we're recording, and then I'll do the official start. So good evening. I am Dr. Rasan Harris, CEO of Citizens Committee for New York City. So glad that you're joining us. The Neighborhood Chat is a Citizens NYC live event that's really supposed to give our community access to us and to one another. This should feel a little bit more conversational. So hopefully, you know, Dee, as one of our program staff members, and I are not dominating the conversation. There are chances for you to have input. So I've already announced you should be typing who you are in the chat. You can put questions there. You can put in reactions such as like clapping or even, laughing, or even putting out that if you're shocked. So that we know kind of how you're feeling. And then also let us know, I think in the chat, when you want to speak up, so that if someone's going on for too long, you can make sure that we let you in and you unmute yourself. We are in such a moment in history. You know, Citizens Committee for New York City was founded in 1975 in the midst of crisis. Look around right now, we're in a crisis on the local level, on the national level, in some ways in the global level. And so coming together, individuals not waiting for Superman to come from the hills to save us, but recognize that we are the answer, is what we're all about. So these forums are for us to talk, to build connections. And I think connections build our collective strength and power so we can make change. Specifically, today, we're going to go over a lot of general conversations about like how we're deploying our resources. So how to get access to our neighborhood grants. And I'm going to call them, for lack of a better word, like neighborhoods together grants, because those are collective actions that give neighbors a chance to come together and propose ideas of how they're going to improve their neighborhood. Our neighborhood business grants are another set of grants about neighborhood businesses that are the lifeblood of what's happening in community, to give people access to jobs and access to culture and access to services that help communities stay strong. And then talk about how we're also surveying, and like, why are you surveying? We're surveying because we want to know who's in our community so we can lift your communities up. And so Dee is going to go through, and if I go in and out, it's because my niece and nephew are trying to call my daughter through Facebook Messenger. So parenting and working from home is real. Like knowing how we're going to come together, and Dee's going to go through it. But all of that I want to put in a context of togetherness, because togetherness is in our mission, and our nation and New York City needs people to come together. And I think whatever ugliness is being thrown our way, we can come together. We can bring people that might think that they're our enemy, but we know better. They're not our enemy. They're just folks that might be wayward and confused and upset. Bringing people together will be our path forward. We need to stand in truth, and there needs to be accountability within that truth, but we can also bring people together so that we can get to reconciliation, and then we can move forward. And we know that you're the part that's going to make sure that we are reimagining New York City and bringing it forward. My niece and nephew really want to talk to my daughter. They're really going hard. So with that, that's the introduction. I wanted to stop and look at the chat to see if there are any questions. And if there aren't, I want to hand it over to my colleague, D. So this is where we pause for at least 30 seconds, get into the chat.
Amazing. Thank you, Ruslan, for the introduction. As Ruslan mentioned, feel free to use the chat function to connect with each other and also chat with us. So a little bit about myself. I work with Citizens Committee on the programs team. I'm seeing some familiar faces, and I'm also excited to get to know those of you who are new to our network. And I saw that Rebecca, this is your first meeting, so excited for that. I mentioned in the chat briefly earlier, but just want to give you a heads up that we're recording this meeting. So some resources that Ruslan just mentioned, I want to start off introducing you on our grant programs. So for those of you who are familiar with us, we have our neighborhood business grants, which is our anchor grant program. We rebranded as our All in Neighborhood grants last summer in response to COVID-19. We're bringing this grant program out again in early February. So please be on the lookout for the grant launch. A little bit more information about this grant program. It is a grant for community groups and nonprofits who work on projects that improve the quality of life in their neighborhoods. So we don't say that this is a project you work on. We really believe that those who are impacted by these issues should have the resources and capacity to carry out the projects. So projects we funded really go a wide range of topics, from school groups, from PTAs to community gardens, to youth empowerment, women, domestic violence healing, arts collective, writing groups, photography groups. So really depending on what you and your community members think are the most important in your community at the moment. We also want to acknowledge that the pandemic is still going on. There are a lot of immediate needs that need to be addressed. So response to COVID-19 is still a top priority. So if you and your groups are doing projects to address food insecurity, like food pantries, home gardening, that's definitely within our funding parameters. We surveyed our network last March to understand what were the top needs. So going off that list, in addition to food insecurity, access to healthcare, physical and mental, in addition to access to services for youth and elderly, are also within our funding parameters. So please stay tuned for that grant launch. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions. I'll leave my contact info in the chat so you can reach us. We will also be planning some info sessions where you will dive more into the grant application. So that is one grant opportunity, all in neighborhood grants. The second I want to highlight is our neighborhood business grants. For those of you who are familiar with us, we only started funding businesses during the pandemic, as we realized that small businesses are also vital to the fabric of New York City. And we really want to acknowledge their contribution, but also give them the support that they need during a pandemic. So our neighborhood business grants support small businesses across the 5 boroughs, and the applications are taken on a rolling basis. So the application is open. We will share the link to the application, but you could also see that on the website. Feel free to share that with family, friends, and whoever you think will be benefiting from the grant opportunity. We are still in the process of reviewing applications. We announced our first round of winners the end of last year, and we're anticipating another round in the coming month. So stay tuned for all your neighborhood grants and apply for neighborhood business grants. In addition to grants, we also do a lot of virtual programming and other activities, including the one that you're on, which is our CitizensNYC live series that Ruslan mentioned. Our neighborhood chats are hosted on the second Tuesday of every month, which is an informal chat conversation that we have with our community leaders and also partners who want to talk about the top topics on your mind. We also have our Rethink and Rebuild conversations, which are our rebranded COVID-19 conversations, which are on the third Thursday of every month, which is broadcasted on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. That is a panel discussion where we'll have a panel of experts, elected officials, and other advocates, including our grantee network on there to talk about important topics. Our past sessions have covered voting, census, education. Our upcoming one is on civic engagement and how community members can hold elected officials accountable. So definitely stay tuned. Our February one will most likely be focusing on education as well. So without further ado, I think we want to get into getting to know each other and also talking about the topics that, that brings us together today, which is reflecting on the year of 2020, which has been a challenging one for almost for everyone. And we also want to vision for a 2021, which is still a year ahead. There's a lot of exciting opportunities, but also challenges faced by us. So I should probably pause for a moment to see if you have any questions about the grant programs and events I mentioned before we start our discussion. Great. If you have any questions,
really quickly before you go, so there's a question. Is there a link for scheduled meetings? If you go in the chat, I put the Linktree link. The Linktree link is magical because when you click on it, there are a list of different direct links that go to some of our activities. So some of them are opportunities for you to RSVP for upcoming events. Some of them are actions. Some of them are stories that we've done before. I also put a link into one of our YouTube videos. If you go to the YouTube video, you will see that we have a YouTube landing. You can subscribe to us on YouTube. A lot of the conversations that we've had are there. So these neighborhood chats, a lot of them have ended up there. Our Facebook Live that ended up there. So if you go, then you'll have an opportunity to, to hear the conversations that we've had in the ground that we've covered. We also have an Instagram page. I think it's at Citizens Committee. If you follow that, the Instagram page, I think is fantastic because, and I'll come on camera for this, it's up to the minute updates. So we announce a lot of our programs. We announce a lot of what our grantee partners are doing there. And then lastly, if you want to see it in aggregate, we come out with a monthly newsletter. So if you're watching our Instagram, you'll definitely see when we have stuff coming up. If you're on our newsletter, you can see it with a little bit more advanced notice, so to speak. But definitely know it's the second Tuesday, right, Dee, for these conversations, and the third Thursday for the Rethink and Rebuild. And I'm almost taking the Rethink and making Reimagine and Rebuild NYC conversations. So you'll always know that at least twice a month that you'll have some conversations that you can give questions to, like literally hear directly from us what we're thinking in any given moment of time. That's helpful because that's information that you can act on. You can figure out who to collaborate with. And then also, I know a lot of you are here because you want to get our grants. You understand where there's alignment potentially as you thinking about your idea and what you can emphasize that that aligns well. And there's one caveat, as always. I've been a grant seeker and a grant maker. Never just chase money because the requirements of trying to do what you propose, if it's not what you wanted to do, don't do it. Sometimes money is more expensive than it's worth to get. But when there's alignment, then you can really figure out how you can just supercharge what you're doing. But the money that we give out is useful, but also if you're doing a great event, give us an image, we can put you up on our Instagram feed. That's fantastic. We might be able to do a feature story if you're doing some great stuff. If multiple people are working on the same issue, we might do a profile of multiple organizations at once and try to pitch it in a press release. Those are all the things that you can do that are, I would even say, much more powerful than any $2,000 grant we can give you.
Amazing. Thanks, Rasan. So just recap, Rasan shared a link of the Linktree which has access to all the different events, opportunities, and actions you can take. I also shared in the chat our grant program main page and the neighborhood business grant application. We'll be launching our All in Neighborhood grants soon, so you'll also find that link on our grant main page. And as Rasan mentioned, we really want to lift up the voice of those in our network. So if you have any great events, stories you want to share with us, just shoot us an email and we'd be happy to hear. So now we're gonna dive into the conversation. We are really excited to hear from all of you. So we're gonna do a large room discussion, just sharing about reflection of 2020. And then we'll go into a breakout room session where we'll do more visioning for 2021. So be aware that there will also be opportunities for us to connect individually. So I want to first open the floor for anyone to share what were your group's biggest accomplishments in 2020. And please introduce your name, neighborhood, and group affiliation. So your group's biggest accomplishments of 2020. Yes, I saw two people. I'm gonna have Jean, please unmute yourself. And I see you, Diamond.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dean from Brooklyn. I'm a little off topic, but I want to ask a question. Do you give grants for planting of trees?
Yes, that would be for our All in Neighborhood grants. So I mentioned we are typical neighborhood grants would fund projects like community gardens, planting trees, beautification, and all of that. That is still under our All in Neighborhood grants. But for the past cycle and this upcoming cycle, we also want to prioritize COVID-19 responses. But planting trees and community garden projects are still within that. So you're welcome to apply.
And I just wanted to add to that. So literally, the rubric is, am I doing something that is improving New York City? And if you're working on a project that's improving New York City, that you're working with other people, and you're an organization that is not, over, I'll say $70,000, then you should apply. But your idea is going to be kind of compared against ideas that are coming from all the 5 boroughs. And the way we really select is we want to have an equitable spread. We want to make sure that all the boroughs, all the leaders that are working across New York City, that there's like a diversity of them. And that if there are priorities that we're hearing from the surveys and the information that we're getting largely from New York City, that we're addressing need. So someone might decide, I want to help young people have a space to be in New York City. Someone might say, I want to plant trees and beautify the space that wasn't, a lot that was not as beautiful before. Someone might say, I want to give out masks, in particular in my neighborhood, because I think some people haven't got a mask refreshed since like the summertime. Whatever it is, all of those ideas are acceptable. Now, how we decide will be a lot about the priorities, the diversity of applications we get, and also the group's ability to execute and deliver what they promise. So it's almost like, I can give this analogy, colleges get way more applications than they can handle. And, getting into a college or not is not based off of whether you can handle the college when you're in competitive colleges. But, the class that is accepted in each time is this, the art of trying to get a diverse class that's needed in that moment of time. So, getting a rejection does not mean that you're not smart enough and couldn't handle it. And in this analogy, not getting funded in one given year doesn't mean that what you're not doing is important. It just means that as it came out in the mix of all the other ideas that we're considering, it just depends on what gets selected in any given. Here's one example. We gave out 50 neighborhood business grants last year, made pledges for it. But the number of applications that we got was 1,200. So there's so many neighborhood businesses that were fantastic that we would love to support if we had infinite, inexhaustible funds. But we, selected a cohort of 50 recipients based off of, the different criteria of spread and just trying to start the project to do the little bit that we can for New York City in that way. So I don't want people to think that not getting funded is like an indictment of like whether they're a worthy leader. There's so many worthy leaders that we can't support in any given moment. But what we really can do is hopefully get great information to all of our applicants, to connect applicants and grantees to other resources as much as possible, and hopefully move forward together as like a united like New York City. So again, the social capital and what we're doing together, the network, is hopefully even more valuable than getting a grant or not.
So Dee, I'd like to finish. I just want to encourage everybody to consider plantings, because historically, blocks that are green, blocks that have many trees on them, there tends to be less crime. People tend to know each other more. It's more of a cohesive block. I can't tell you exactly why, but if you read up on plantings and trees, you'll find that to be so. So I'd encourage everybody to do that. We did it on our block many years ago, and it's working to this day. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dean. That's well taken. Greenery and beautification projects and cleanup projects to help with improving the neighborhood and also bringing people together. In addition to just having a beautiful streetscape, you also get a chance to work with your neighbors and get to know your neighbors. So that's definitely a good point. And I saw Diamond has your hand raising. Do you want to share your 2020 accomplishments?
Hi, everyone. My name is Diamond. I'm the founder of a nonprofit organization called Purposefully Pretty Incorporated. 2020 was tough for everyone, I'm sure. But one thing about Purposefully Pretty, like leading a nonprofit, like I really just wanted to make sure that, you know, we were still impacting the lives of the young girls that we service. So I would say like one of the best things personally was like making it through 2020 because it was really hard, and getting into nursing school and getting a new job. So those were like my personal goals of 2020. As far as my nonprofit, just being able to maintain, you know, the work that we do. We were able to do a COVID relief fund where we were giving funds to people who were really impacted by COVID, people who lost their jobs or, you know, lost loved ones. With the help of Citizens Committee, thank you guys. We did something called a college survival kit giveaway where we were able to give college supplies to seniors. We normally do a prom drive, a prom makeover contest, but because prom was canceled, we just went and made packages for all of our college students and literally just like dropped it in front of their doors during COVID. And we also did something called a voter empowerment project, where we were able to give like snacks and water and coffee and fruit to the people who were voting early in our community. So those who are waiting online, you know, it got really cold and tiring. So I would say like those were the three major goals within the organization, and just being able to maintain a nonprofit during a pandemic and keep my sanity. That's really high, so definitely. I'm done.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Diamond. That's great. You know, not only smash personal goals, but also what your organization has been doing is really critical. And I love that you've done voter empowerment projects, which is critical. New York City, we have re-election coming up, so that's also a focus that citizens will be working around. So stay tuned for that. And we also need to get New Yorkers vote, not only for the national stage, but also locally. So make sure to reach out to your neighbors and register to vote. Debbie?
Yes, hello everyone, and thank you for this opportunity to be on this call today. So my name is Debbie Garis. I am one of the founders of an organization called Communities Deserving a Chance, which is a girls mentorship program. And as I reflect back on 2020, I think about around March, we had a graduation for them fulfilling that semester, and then COVID happened. And so we had to really revamp the way that we were going to do the program, because typically we were having this program within a junior high school in Jamaica, Queens. So thankfully through the platform and also you all providing that funding for us through Citizens, it really helped us to be able to not only troubleshoot the situation, be able to provide support not only for our girls, but also for their families. And so we were able to, even though we didn't have the graduation, we were able to hand deliver their certificate along with different gifts. We also did care packages where we did door-to-door services where we dropped it off, because a lot of the parents that we serve, their low socioeconomic status, they really have difficulties with this transition with being home and now having to provide meals for their children. So we did that. We also were able to go to the virtual platform very quickly for our following semester and be able to conduct our classes and training on Zoom. And we talked about developing adaptive coping mechanisms, especially in the midst of the pandemic. And it gave them an opportunity to really just discuss what they were feeling as children and their personal experiences. And we were able to provide yoga, mommy and me yoga, or guardian and me yoga, and also family and family yoga as well, because we understand that it's just not impacting the child, but it's also impacting their parents. And as I think this was mentioned earlier on the call, like they're now home, parents are also working from home. So it's very challenging. So we were able to not only support the child, but also the family as a whole. And we thank you for being able to provide that, because although it was such a transition from what we were accustomed to, I think that there's definitely value, even in terms of what the parents tell us, that we were able to transition pretty readily with all of what we were experiencing personally and also as an organization. So thank you.
Yes, thank you, Debbie. That is really great to hear, especially for helping with not only the children, but also the parents. And I want to quickly share a project that Citizens is working on, is partnering with the BMCC, the CUNY Teacher College, because they do have a cohort of student teachers who need to conduct field work, helping children, but it is really difficult for them to do that nowadays with traveling and the pandemic. So we're trying to pair up those student teachers with youth in different parts of the city who could benefit from a potting instructor, so they won't necessarily do the teaching, but actually assist with taking care of the kids and making sure they're attending lessons and potentially doing some extracurricular activities. So if any of your groups are interested in that kind of project, I cannot promise because they do have a limited number of student teachers, but if you're interested in this, please let me know and I can connect you with the professor at CUNY. So that is also one opportunity, because we also want to get prepared for the spring semester. So we hope to get the conversation started as soon as possible. I'd be happy to chat more about this at a later time. So I saw Alexis. Do you want to unmute?
Yeah, hi. So my name is Alexis Oliveras. I'm a senior from Harlow Prep High School and I'm from the Bronx. A highlight for me in 2020 was that throughout the coronavirus, but before, I was able to share a platform where I was able to educate like hundreds of thousands of people every day through my math and science knowledge. And that's something that I'm really grateful to do, because like through this hard time, like we needed people who will give back to the community. And myself giving back to the community and helping people was a highlight for me. And the responses that I got were like truly amazing. And I also like expanded myself through not only using TikTok, which is the platform that I use, but also other platforms like Google Classrooms, where I also made lessons, and also like Google Forms for people to actually get more help and assistance. And just giving back to the community and just helping a lot of people daily was something that really enlightened me. And just being a senior, it just blows my mind what people are capable of doing. And that's my highlight for 2020.
Yeah, Alexis, that's amazing. We're so excited to have you here as a young leader who's already giving back to the community and to a really wide network on digital tutoring. That sounds a great project. And we'd appreciate you sharing your social media handles for whatever the link in the chat so people can check it out. That's really great. Seems education is a focus today. And I saw Tene have your hand raised. Can you unmute?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Tene Ouedraogo. I am the founder of the organization Azaba Eze. And this 2020, it was really hard, but I thank you for your hard work and help you give us. And we get that opportunity to serve our community like never before. From from May, since in May, we be in our community, we share food every Thursday to now, and and mask, we get to share more than 11,000 masks to the community, and we are really grateful I am grateful to be here to share that we do it every Thursday to now by the help of the church and this organization, Bethel Amliri and New York Grow. They provide us the box 240 of food, so we can vegetables and fruit, so we can share it. So we really appreciate, and the community is really thankful for us to be there every Thursday and helping them. So I get that to share it, and thank you again to citizen community to be on our side to help people. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Tana. That is amazing. Not only for you to be able to get the food, but also there is also, we all know as organizers, getting the food is one thing, but also you have to put in human resources and labor to deliver it, and you're so on top of it and doing it every Thursday. That's such great commitment and contribution to your community. I see Anna raising hand. We do have to go into the breakout room, but let's have Anna speak before that.
Hi, my name is Ana Vincenti, and I'm here with Nos Quedamos. I'm representing Nos Quedamos. This is my first time on, but I just wanted you to know that we've been doing food distributions, rent stabilizations, and of course, you know, trying to help, especially because we deal with a lot of the gardens. So we are also working with the gardeners. You know, in fact, Maritza is one of the gardeners, and she's on the call today. But I just wanted you to know that I'm on the call for the first time, and that it's a pleasure to be able to be here and to at least listen. Unfortunately, my friend Deli is also on. She's also my co-worker, and she's having a little bit of an issue, so she can't get on. But, or rather, she's on the call, but she can't speak. So I just wanted you to know that we are here representing Nos Quedamos because we work a lot with our gardeners and of course with the community.
Amazing, Anna, thank you. And we're glad to have you here. So now we are going to continue this conversation instead of cutting it short. We're gonna continue in our breakout room. And in the breakout room, I will ask you please still introduce your name, your neighborhood and borough, and the group affiliation to each other. This is really the chance for you to get to know each other. I've seen great cross-pollination in the chat. Feel free to share your contact info with each other. There are great opportunities to collaborate, so definitely do that. And here are some questions for you to discuss in the breakout room. Just talk about your general goals and plans for your community group in 2021. And maybe just have the conversation going as you see opportunities to collaborate. So we have 20-ish people on this call. So I'm gonna do a breakout room of 4. Let me do 5 breakout rooms so that, yes, let me do that. And we'll do this for about 15 minutes and we'll regroup so we can share what we learned from the breakout rooms. If you have any questions, feel free to chat with me. And then I will open the rooms. Oh, hi. I saw there were 2 people who are joining. We're doing a breakout session and I'll assign you to a group and then I'll share the questions for those rooms. Hi, can you hear me?
Hi.
Hi, I'm just
Could you just, yeah, just, could you just remind us of, what's the key question again?
Introduce your name, neighborhood, and group, and then reflect
we did
on the plans and goals for your community group in 2021.
There you go. Okay.
Well, I can say our goals and plans for our group in 2021 at Hunts Point Alliance for Children is really making sure that we serve as that connectivity to be able to leverage all the different services that are inside of the Hunts Point Longwood area. There's several different things that are taking place. There's issues, of course, with food disparities in every borough, but there's several different pantries and things that are happening. And a lot of the times when working with smaller groups, they don't have access to this type of information, or they're not the best with like tech stuff to be able to get on and complete a grant application themselves, or they don't have the background to, and sometimes that kind of steers them away from looking for supports. And so for us, it's really figuring out a way, how do we support them during this time? They're doing great work. They're working, of course, and going above and beyond to be able to do food pantries with no funding. And so how do we support them that so they can sustain throughout COVID and continue to do the work that they're doing, and not compromise themselves or their families in the process. And so for us, it's really, again, serving as that connectivity this year to really make sure that we're like helping them to be able to complete grant applications, providing workshops to help them to do these different things and asking them what supports do you need. So we've done like a survey just to kind of gauge like, what is it that you need from us during these times and how can we support you and then connect you to the right providers that will continue to help you support the work that you're doing. So it's working and being that connectivity as we've always been, but really being a little bit more intentional so that way we're being able to really impact the way that we need to with the smaller groups in our communities.
Okay, that's ambitious for sure. Okay.
It is.
Yeah.
It's so hard to get everyone like not really on one accord, but there's always, especially in community district 2 in the Bronx, there's always going to be a greater need than we're ever going to be able to fulfill. And I feel like there's never going to be one small organization or group of organizations, because we have a whole group of an alliance that's going to be able to suffice that. It's just, I think people really get boggled down with that, like that motion of we're never going to be able to give everything, instead of just understanding that doing your part is enough within that process, and carving out that should be good enough and be happy with that. A lot of people are like, no, we have to do more, we have to do more. And it's like, yeah, but there's only so much you're going to be able to do. So I try to bring them back to reality sometimes. And it was like, Shamika, but, and I'm like, yeah, but you only have $5,000. Like, there's only so much you're going to be able to do with that. And I know it's hard because they put their heart like into the work that they do and they really love helping people. And so I'm trying to find and connect them as much as I can to additional resources, because I know how much is needed and I see how hard they work.
Well, you know, you sound very passionate about what you do, which is wonderful. And I mean, I do know that COVID, pardon the expression, but it throws a wrench into a lot of what people had anticipated as goals for themselves or their community organization. But as a gardener, most community gardens are fairly large. And I'm hoping that in 2021, we're able to use gardens as it having dual purposes, that it would bring the community together while we're still socially distanced and show people that they can grow their own food. While in the wintertime, you know, of course, the growing season has come to a standstill, but these families, if you can also share the opportunity for them to join a garden, that they could feel empowered where they can produce their own fresh fruit and vegetables over time, you know, just that idea, so that they may not feel like, oh, well, if there's no pantry, we have no options. There are other options. And the fact that they can do it as a family, as a community. So it's just something that came to mind that I thought I would share that with you.
No, I really appreciate that. In the summertime, we actually did a because we were anticipating there not being youth jobs in the summertime with the whole scare, and so in the summertime we actually did a pilot program. We just did 10 kids from the community, high school students, gave them money to be able to do community engagement projects, and 3 of those engagement projects were with the local what do you call them? Gardens. And so they actually did 3 different gardens, and it was really an eye opener. For one, they didn't even know they were there. For some of them, the kids, they had no clue that they were there. Then they didn't, of course, they didn't know how to garden, special tools that they would use. They learned about different things that they couldn't plant next to each other. It was like completely, they were just shocked.
Companion planting, yeah.
And they vowed to come back. They actually set up dates for different ones that they got to annually go to. So it was definitely interesting to see that all unravel and them still be like, it also was a lot of community engagement for them. After these kids did not know, again, that gardens were even around the corner from their house, which was surprising to me. So I completely agree with you. Some of them want to then make they did pots and stuff on top of the roofs of their apartments. Start to grow stuff inside of their homes with their grandparents because they like fresh herbs.
Windowsills.
Things, right? These are all things that were sparked because of them working with us for the summer. So it was really, really cool to see. It was very rewarding, to be honest.
That's great. I see someone else.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi. I'm sorry that I was having difficulty trying to connect because I'm using the phone platform. So it's a little bit tricky because I'm used to the computer. Sorry that I'm also late. But I was just listening in about the gardens and those important projects that are needed within our community now during COVID. And they are essential. And I was wondering regarding other projects like community activism, is there a place for them in the grant? Because I know that things have shifted. So regarding our projects in the past, we've done community activism in terms of creating events to gather people and educate them regarding preservation and buildings and architecture. But now, we can't gather. So we've been thinking about ideas of how to use the digital platform to bring people together. And if, let's say, if we needed some special equipment or something, would that be something that could be granted under the neighborhoods grant?
Yeah, that is a great question. We were talking about the neighborhood grants. You're a past grantee, so you know our CARE program well, but we pivoted last year because that was when the pandemic struck. So that focus was most kind of exclusively on COVID-19 relief. But with this upcoming cycle, it is our all-in neighborhood grants, which is the all-encompassing grant program. So even though the grant priority still goes to food pantry, food delivery, which were not typically funded, are under our neighborhood grants, but they are funded now. But the projects you've been working on, community activism, community gardens, school projects, preservation projects, oral history, all of that are still funded within that grant parameter. So you're welcome to apply as well.
Okay, that's great news. I know that the Citizens Committee has a equipment loan program, and there may be devices that may not be available in the loan, and I was wondering if, I'm sorry for the background noise.
Yeah, for the equipment loan library, I'm not sure if Stephanie and Shamika, if you know about it, but we used to have an equipment loan library that has camera, canopies, button makers, which kids really like, but unfortunately we had to close our office due to the pandemic, and we are not running, we're temporarily suspending the equipment loan library, so you won't be able to check out any equipment. So technically, whatever you would need for your projects, you can purchase them and write them in the grant application. So if you need a projector, you need tablet for students, that's also funded, as long as you're not purchasing really expensive, just like one MacBook Pro, something like that. But equipments are still funded.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. But do we still have to meet the requirement of having these equipment, what is it?
Housed in a publicly accessible location?
Yes.
Yes. We understand that these are not normal times, and if you cannot, don't take me on this, but I'll check in with my team because we're still solidifying the grant application. So once we have more details, we'll let you know. But I'd say that during a pandemic, if you cannot access the space, we won't force you to find a space that you can house the equipment. But let me get back to you on that. And just want to still give you guys the chance to speak about this breakout room, which is on 2021 goals and plans. So if you have any additional thoughts you want to share with each other, connect with each other, and if you have any questions about the grant specifically, you can also connect with me afterwards. I still want to make this chance for you to like connect and actually speak about that.
Okay. So I guess I'll go. I actually have a vision. Actually, it's a shared vision with myself and a few other neighbors. We really want to bring outdoor learning to our community in the spring for our elementary and junior high school students. Not excluding high school, but we know that they can travel more independently. So we'd be urging the district to allow community gardens to be used as an outdoor space for children to come in and for them to practice earth science, life science, and even physical science. Also, it'd be a great opportunity for them to explore the careers of botany and naturalism, learning the city trees, which trees can be planted here. Why do you see the same trees all over the city? And so they feel like even though they've spent almost a year online, they can come outside with their teachers for maybe 15 to 20 minutes and learn so much within the safety and comfort of a community garden right in their own backyards.
Yes, that's great to learn, Stephanie. I don't want to cut a conversation short, but we do have to regroup shortly. But I want to let you know that there is the Open Street program put together by DOT. In case any of you have events they want to host, the spring is coming up. So stay tuned for that. That will be an opportunity for you to close off the block for school projects, like just doing nature stuff, or just like a block party or activities that bring people together in a socially distanced manner. So that's also one thing. And now we will close the room. So I'll see you in the main room.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm back.
Amazing. It seems like that everyone's back. Amazing. Anyone who want to, I know we're running short of time, but anyone want to share a final word or a major takeaway? And Rusan just shared his contact info in the chat, so please take that down. Anyone want to share a final word?
Share what?
Any reflection, what you learned, highlight?
Oh yeah, learn. And what her name? Alice was telling you have a grant open already.
No, the grant applications will open at the beginning of February. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
But we have the opportunity to have her, and we have a lot of information. And I was so grateful, but the two other people, three, right, we sharing what they're doing on the community, and it's opening my eyes again to learn more what the other people doing, and it's not just you, me. Yeah, that's it.
I see. Thanks for sharing. And I hope that you get some takeaways for inspiration or just energy, passion to keep your work going. So just a recap of our resources. Our all-in neighborhood grants will be launching in early February. Neighborhood grants business application are ongoing, so you can apply now. It's taken on a rolling basis. Our CitizensNYC live series, the next neighborhood chat, which you joined today, is going to be on February 9th at 5 p.m. So stay tuned. Our Rethink and Rebuild conversation, which is our panel discussion on next Thursday at 12 p.m., which is going to be focused on civic engagement. We will also send a survey out for questions, because we'll be having a few elected officials on there, and we want to see if you have any questions for these elected officials about how we can hold the elected officials accountable for an equitable distribution of resources. So please share those questions with us. We'll be sending that survey out soon, but you could also email those to me. So stay tuned for that as well. Last but not least, we will have, we already sent out our network survey, which is just a brief survey about your your basic contact information and some additional demographic info. We'd really appreciate you filling that out so that we have a better understanding of our network. So that will really inform our grant making and programming. And I will be, let me share that link here, and I'll have Rasan speak.
Hello. I'm trying to come back on camera for final words. There we go. Did I raise my hand? I don't know if I meant to raise my hand. That's crazy. I want to say that you folks, no one's coming to the hills to save us. It's us. So let's just do the work. We're here to support you. Yes, we want all of you to get grants, get all the money. But even more than that, we want to make sure you have a platform that you're connected to one another, and you're connected to elected officials and other investors that are investing in the future of New York City. We're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. So let's make it more equitable, and let's make change, and let's have New York City be better for us because of the way we were able to influence what it is. So we're pointing towards the future. Togetherness is not dead. New York is not dead. And it's not dead because of you. So thank you. Tell a friend, share it, and we're gonna make it happen. So I really, really appreciate y'all. Have a great night. Stay safe, and God bless.
Thank you so
Nos
much.
quedamos.
Good night.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, stay well, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Take care, everyone.
Good night. It was a pleasure having met all of you.
Same here.
Likewise.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.
I guess I'll end meeting here.
It doesn't want to close.
Bye.